Right now, as you're reading this, you're dancing. Not metaphorically, not poetically, but literally dancing. Your heart is keeping rhythm, your lungs are expanding and contracting in perfect tempo, your neurons are firing in synchronized patterns that would put any orchestra to shame. Alan Watts, the philosopher who bridged Eastern wisdom and Western minds like no one before or since, understood something profound. Consciousness isn't something you have, it's something you do. And what you're doing is dancing. But here's what will really shake your understanding. You've been trying to stop this dance your entire life. Every moment of anxiety, every second of depression, every instance of feeling stuck, it all comes from trying to freeze the dance, to nail down the river, to catch the wind in a box. Watts saw what ancient sages knew but modern minds forgot. Life isn't a problem to be solved, but a dance to be danced. And the moment you understand this, truly understand it, everything changes. The illusion of the serious universe. We've been sold a lie, and we bought it so completely that we can't even see it's a lie anymore. The lie says that the universe is a serious place, that life is a problem to be solved, that you're here to achieve something, to get somewhere, to become someone. From the moment you could understand words, you've been programmed with this idea. Life is serious business. Think about how you were raised. Pay attention. Stop playing around. Be serious. Focus on your future. Every institution you've passed through, school, work, even relationships, has reinforced this same message. Life is not a game, not a dance, but serious work with serious consequences. You must perform, achieve, succeed. You must get from point A to point B. You must have goals, plans, purposes. But Watts saw through this cosmic joke. He realized that this seriousness is itself the most hilarious pretense. The universe isn't going anywhere. It's not trying to achieve anything. It's not progressing toward some ultimate goal. The universe is dancing, and it's dancing for the same reason you might dance. For the sheer joy of it, for the experience itself, not to get somewhere on the dance floor. Consider music. When you listen to your favorite song, you don't listen to it to get to the end. The point isn't to arrive at the final note as quickly as possible. If that were the case, the best musicians would be the ones who played fastest, and the best songs would be the shortest. No, you listen to music for the experience of listening, for the journey through melody and rhythm. The point of the music is the music itself. Watts recognized that life is exactly the same. We've been tricked into thinking life is like a journey with a serious destination, when it's actually like music. The point is the playing itself. But because we can't see this, we turn everything into work. We work at our jobs, work on our relationships, work on ourselves. Even our play becomes work. We work out, we work at having fun, we work at relaxing. We've forgotten how to dance. The pattern that patterns itself. Here's where Watts' insight becomes truly radical. Consciousness isn't a thing that exists, it's a pattern that's happening. You don't have consciousness like you have a wallet in your pocket. You're doing consciousness like you're doing breathing, like you're doing heartbeat, like you're doing the endless electrical dance of your nervous system. But unlike breathing, which you can somewhat control, the dance of consciousness happens by itself. You can't start it or stop it. You can't improve it or mess it up. It's self-organizing, self-creating, self-dancing. Watts called this the pattern that patterns itself. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Think about how you learned to walk. You didn't study the mechanics of bipedal locomotion. You didn't calculate the precise muscle contractions needed to maintain balance. You wiggled and wobbled and fell and got up, and eventually the pattern organized itself. Walking started happening through you. Now you don't walk. Walking walks you. The same is true for everything you do naturally and well. When you're really talking, not thinking about talking but actually engaged in conversation, words flow through you without your conscious intervention. When you're truly listening to music, you're not deciding to hear each note. The hearing is happening by itself. When you're genuinely laughing, you're not choosing to contract your diaphragm rhythmically. Laughter is laughing through you. Watts saw that this is what's happening with consciousness all the time. It's not something you're doing, it's something that's doing you. And like a dance, it has its own intelligence, its own rhythm, its own perfect timing. The problem is, you keep trying to lead when the dance knows perfectly well how to dance itself. The anxiety of trying to control the dance. This is where suffering enters the picture. Not pain. Pain is just part of the dance, like discord in music that makes the resolution sweeter. But suffering, that special human talent for being miserable about being miserable, comes from trying to control the uncontrollable dance. Anxiety is what happens when you try to dance tomorrow's dance today. You're attempting to control future patterns that haven't emerged yet, to choreograph a dance that can only be improvised. Your mind spins with what-ifs and what-thens, trying to pre-dance every possible dance, exhausting itself with dances that will never be danced. Depression, what's observed, is often the opposite. It's trying to stop the dance altogether. It's the exhaustion that comes from fighting the current, from trying to freeze the river, from attempting to hold your breath forever. You want to stop time, to rest, to get off the cosmic dance floor. But the dance doesn't stop. The music keeps playing whether you dance or not. Think about your own anxiety. Isn't it always about trying to control something that's essentially uncontrollable? You worry about what others think of you, but you can't control their thoughts. You stress about the future, but you can't predict it. You agonize over decisions, but you can't know all outcomes. You're trying to choreograph a dance that can only be danced spontaneously. Watts pointed out that even your attempts to control are part of the dance. The controller is being danced too. The part of you that's trying to manage everything, to keep it all together, to figure it all out, that's not the dancer controlling the dance. That's just another movement in the dance dancing the illusion of control. The rhythm of existence. Everything in the universe moves in rhythm, in patterns of up and down, in and out, on and off. Watts was fascinated by this fundamental pulsation. Your heart beats in rhythm. You breathe in rhythm. You wake and sleep in rhythm. Even your consciousness flickers on and off thousands of times per second, though it happens so fast you experience it as continuous. This rhythm isn't a flaw or a limitation. It's the very nature of existence. You can't have up without down, in without out, on without off. They define each other, create each other, dance with each other. Watts loved to point out that you can't have a wave with only crests and no troughs. The trough is as necessary as the crest. They're not opposite things, but complementary aspects of the same movement. Yet we're constantly trying to have only the ups without the downs. We want happiness without sadness, success without failure, life without death. We want to keep the parts of the dance we like and eliminate the parts we don't. But Watts understood that this is like trying to keep the left foot walking while stopping the right foot. It breaks the dance entirely. The rhythm includes everything: joy and sorrow, creation and destruction, sound and silence. And here's the secret. The silence isn't the absence of music. It's what makes the music possible. Without the spaces between notes, music would be just noise. Without the pauses between heartbeats, there would be no rhythm. Without the downs between the ups, there would be no dance. This is why Watts often said that the highest form of wisdom is insecurity. Not the anxiety of insecurity, but the recognition that security itself is an illusion. Everything is changing, everything is dancing, everything is in motion. To be truly secure is to be comfortable with this fundamental insecurity, to find your balance in the movement rather than trying to stop moving. You are the dance, not the dancer. Here's the revelation that changes everything. You're not a dancer who dances. You are the dance itself. This isn't mystical poetry. It's the clearest description of what's actually happening. There is no separate you standing outside the dance, deciding how to move. The decision and the movement are one. The dancer and the dance are one. Watts loved to use the example of a whirlpool. A whirlpool isn't a thing that exists separately from the water. It's something the water is doing. It's a pattern, a movement, a dance of water. You can't take a whirlpool out of the river and examine it. You can't separate the whirl from the pool. The whirlpool is the water whirlpooling. You are the universe humaning. Just as a wave is something the ocean is doing, you are something the universe is doing. You're not a separate entity that came into the universe. You grew out of it like an apple grows out of a tree. And just as an apple is the tree appling, you are the universe peopling. This isn't a loss of individuality. It's the discovery of what individuality really is. You're a unique pattern in the cosmic dance, a particular way the universe is expressing itself. No one else can dance your dance because no one else is where you are, when you are, how you are. Your dance is absolutely unique and absolutely necessary, but you keep thinking you're the dancer trying to dance correctly, trying to dance better than others, trying to win at dancing. Watts would laugh at this. How can you win at music? How can you fail at breathing? How can you do your heartbeat incorrectly? These things happen by themselves, perfectly, without your conscious intervention. And so does the dance of consciousness. The technology of consciousness. We live in an age obsessed with technology, always looking for the latest app, the newest device, the next upgrade to make our lives better. But Watts pointed out that we've forgotten the most sophisticated technology of all, consciousness itself. Your consciousness is infinitely more complex than any computer, more creative than any AI, more powerful than any machine. It can imagine worlds that don't exist, remember experiences from decades ago, feel the subtle emotions of poetry, appreciate the beauty of music, fall in love, create art, ponder its own existence. No technology we've created comes close to matching what consciousness does naturally, effortlessly, continuously. Yet we treat consciousness like it's a problem to be fixed. We medicate it, distract it, numb it, escape it. We spend billions on external technology while ignoring the internal technology that's been dancing since the moment we were born. We're looking for solutions outside when the solution is the looking itself. Watts saw meditation not as a practice to achieve something, but as a remembering of what consciousness is already doing. You don't meditate to become enlightened. You meditate to notice that enlightenment is already happening. The dance is already dancing. You just forgot to notice because you were too busy trying to learn the steps. The return to wonder children live in wonder because they haven't yet learned that life is serious. They haven't been programmed with purposes and goals and meanings. They're still in direct contact with the dance, still able to see that existence is fundamentally magical, mysterious, wonderful. Watch a child discover something new, a butterfly, a puddle, a shadow. They don't immediately ask what it's for, what it means, what use it has. They're simply amazed that it exists. They participate in its being through their wonder. They dance with it. Watts believed that wisdom isn't about knowing more, but about returning to this original wonder, this capacity to be amazed by the obvious. The fact that anything exists at all is the ultimate mystery. The fact that you're conscious, that you can read these words, that you can understand meaning. This is more miraculous than any miracle. But we've explained away the wonder. We've reduced consciousness to brain chemistry, life to survival, existence to accident. We've lost the capacity to be amazed by the dance because we think we know what dancing is. We've become experts at life while forgetting to live. The return to wonder isn't about becoming naive or ignorant. It's about seeing through the explanations to the mystery they're trying to explain. It's about recognizing that knowing about dancing isn't the same as dancing. It's about letting yourself be amazed again by the simple fact that you are, that anything is, that the dance is happening at all. The practical implications. Now you might be thinking, this is all very poetic, but I have bills to pay, problems to solve, a life to manage. How does seeing life as a dance help with practical matters? This is exactly the question Watts faced constantly, and his answer was radical. The practical and the dancing are not opposite. When you stop trying to control the dance and start dancing, you become more effective, not less. When you stop fighting the current and start flowing with it, you reach your destination faster. When you stop trying to force life and start playing with it, solutions emerge that you could never have planned. Think about when you perform best at anything. Isn't it when you're in flow, when you're not thinking about performing but just performing? Athletes call it being in the zone. Musicians call it being in the pocket. Writers call it being visited by the muse. It's all the same thing. It's when you stop trying to dance and let the dance dance you. This doesn't mean being passive or careless. It means recognizing that your care, your action, your effort are all part of the dance. When action is needed, action arises. When rest is needed, rest happens. When thinking is required, thinking occurs. But it all emerges from the dance rather than being imposed upon it. Watts often said that the secret to life is sincerity, not the forced sincerity of trying to be sincere, but the natural sincerity that arises when you stop pretending to be the dancer and admit you're the dance. When you stop performing life and start living it. When you stop managing your experience and start experiencing it. The ultimate punchline. Watts loved to point out that existence is fundamentally humorous, not funny in a superficial way, but cosmically hilarious in its very structure. The universe pretends to be serious, pretends to be going somewhere, pretends to be separate things with separate purposes, all while secretly being one grand dance dancing with itself. And the biggest joke? You're in on it. You've always been in on it. You are the universe pretending to be you, pretending not to know it's pretending. You're the dance pretending to be a dancer, the music pretending to wonder what the music means, the player pretending to be played. This is why genuine spiritual awakening often comes with laughter. Not because anything is ridiculous, but because the cosmic humor of the situation suddenly becomes apparent. All that seeking, all that suffering, all that struggle to become something, to get somewhere to figure it out. And all along you were, what you were seeking, you were, where you were trying to get you, were the answer to your own question. The punchline isn't cruel, it's liberating. When you get the joke, you're free to stop taking yourself so seriously. You can play your role in the cosmic drama without forgetting it's a drama. You can dance your dance without thinking it's the only dance. You can be fully yourself without thinking. Yourself is separate from everything else. The dance goes on. So here you are, still dancing. Your heart is still beating, your breath is still breathing, your consciousness is still consciousing. Nothing has to change for you to be in the dance, and you couldn't leave it if you tried. But something can shift in your relationship to it. You can stop being the critic watching yourself dance and become the dance itself. You can stop trying to dance correctly and start dancing spontaneously. You can stop waiting for the right music and realize all music is the right music. You can stop looking for the meaning of the dance and realize the meaning is the dancing. Watts didn't want followers or believers. He wanted people to see what he was pointing at, this ordinary, extraordinary, continuous miracle of consciousness dancing as itself, by itself, for itself. He wanted people to recognize that enlightenment isn't about becoming special. It's about seeing that everything is already special, already perfect, already dancing. The cosmic dance includes everything, your struggles and your successes, your confusion and your clarity, your resistance and your flow. Even reading these words is part of the dance. Even agreeing or disagreeing with them is the dance. Even forgetting them completely would be the dancing forgetfulness. If these ideas stirred something deep within you, if you felt the pull toward a more authentic existence, you're not alone in this journey. Subscribe to School of Philosophy and ring the notification bell to join thousands of free thinkers exploring the deepest questions of human existence. Each day we dive into the minds of history's greatest philosophers. Your awakening mind deserves nothing less. The wisdom of not knowing. We're addicted to knowing. We want to know what everything means, where everything is going, how everything works. We want to know ourselves, know our purpose, know our future. But Watts understood that this addiction to knowing is what removes us from the dance. When you're really dancing, you don't know what your body will do next. The movement emerges spontaneously from the music, from the moment, from some intelligence deeper than thought. The moment you start thinking about how to move, you become awkward, self-conscious, out of rhythm. The dance dances best when you get out of the way. The same is true for life. When you're really living, you don't know what you'll say next in a conversation, what you'll think next, what you'll feel next. It emerges spontaneously from the situation, from the interaction, from the endless dance of consciousness with itself. The moment you start scripting your life, planning every move, knowing what everything means, you fall out of the dance. Watts called this the wisdom of insecurity. The recognition that not knowing is not a problem to be solved, but the very space in which life can happen. If you knew everything that would happen, if you had complete security, if you could control every aspect of the dance, it wouldn't be a dance anymore. It would be a mechanical repetition, a dead pattern, a frozen form. This doesn't mean being careless or thoughtless. It means recognizing that your careful thoughts are also part of the dance, arising spontaneously when needed. Planning happens, but you don't plan to plan. Planning arises. Thinking happens, but you don't think to think. Thinking emerges. Everything is the dance dancing itself. The play of consciousness. Watts often said that existence is play, not in the sense of frivolity, but in the sense of something done for its own sake, for the sheer joy of doing it. The universe isn't working towards some grand finale. It's playing the way musicians play music, the way children play games, the way lovers play with each other. But we've forgotten how to play. We've turned everything into work, into serious business, into problems to be solved. We've forgotten that the most important things in life, love, creativity, joy, beauty, can't be worked at. They arise spontaneously when we stop trying so hard and start playing. Think about when you're most creative, most alive, most yourself. Isn't it when you're playing? When you're so absorbed in what you're doing that you forget yourself? When you're not trying to achieve something but just expressing, exploring, enjoying? That's when the dance dances itself most beautifully through you. Children know this naturally. Watch a child play and you'll see the cosmic dance in action. They don't play to achieve something. They play because playing is what consciousness does when it's not confused about its nature. They dance because music is playing, laugh because something is funny, cry because something hurts, all without the layer of self-consciousness that asks, "Am I doing this right?" Watts understood that spiritual awakening isn't about becoming something special. It's about returning to this natural playfulness, this spontaneous dance. It's not about ascending to some higher plane, but about descending back into the simple joy of existence, the play of consciousness with itself. The music never stops. Here's what Watts wanted you to understand. The music never stops. Even in silence, the music is playing. Even in stillness, the dance continues. Your heart keeps beating, your blood keeps flowing, your neurons keep firing, the earth keeps spinning, the cosmos keeps expanding, existence keeps existing. You can't stop the dance and you can't get it wrong. You can only think you've stopped, think you're wrong, and that thinking is just another movement in the dance. Even your resistance is part of the rhythm. Even your confusion is part of the pattern. Even your attempt to control is being danced. This isn't resignation or fatalism. It's the ultimate liberation. When you realize you can't fall out of the dance, you can stop worrying about dancing correctly. When you understand that you are the dance, you can stop trying to improve yourself. When you see that the music never stops, you can stop waiting for the right moment to begin. The anxiety of modern life comes from thinking we're separate dancers who must manage our dance. The depression comes from thinking we can stop dancing. The seeking comes from thinking there's a better dance somewhere else. But Watts saw through all of this. There's only one dance and you're already dancing it perfectly, the catastrophe of success. Watts had a particular insight about our obsession with success that reveals how deeply we've misunderstood the dance. We've structured our entire lives around the idea of achievement, of getting somewhere, of becoming someone. But what happens when you succeed? What happens when you get where you're going? Think about any goal you've achieved. Remember that moment of triumph. How long did it last before you needed a new goal? This is what Watts called the catastrophe of success, the discovery that arrival is empty, that achievement doesn't satisfy, that getting there reveals there was no there. We're like people at a dance who spend the whole time trying to reach the exit. We think the point is to get through the dance as successfully as possible. Get through school, get through work, get through relationships, get through life. Always focused on the next achievement, the next level, the next stage. But the exit of the dance floor leads nowhere special. It leads to another dance floor. Watts saw that this is why so many successful people are miserable. They've won the game only to discover it was never a game worth winning. They've reached the top of the ladder only to find it was leaning against the wrong wall. They've achieved everything they thought they wanted, only to realize they missed the actual experience of living while they were busy achieving. The dance isn't about getting anywhere. It's about the dancing itself. Success in dancing isn't reaching a particular spot on the floor. It's losing yourself in the movement, finding yourself in the rhythm, becoming one with the music. The same is true for life. The illusion of the separate self. The deepest reason we can see life as a dance is because we think we're separate from it. We imagine ourselves as isolated individuals in a foreign universe, trying to make our way, trying to survive, trying to succeed. But Watts knew this was the fundamental illusion, what Hindus call Maya and Buddhists call the root of suffering. You experience yourself as a separate self, a little me inside looking out at the world. But where exactly is this self? Is it in your head, your heart, your body? When you look for it, really look, you can't find a separate self anywhere. What you find instead is experience happening, awareness awareing, consciousness dancing. The sense of being a separate self is just another pattern in the dance, like a whirlpool in water. It's not wrong or bad, it's just not what you think it is. It's not a solid, separate thing, but a fluid, connected process. You're not a noun, you're a verb. You're not a being, you're a becoming. Watts loved to point out that your skin isn't a boundary separating you from the world. It's a bridge connecting you to it. Every breath you take exchanges you with the atmosphere. Every bite of food you eat becomes you while you become it. Every word you speak vibrates out into the world and changes it. You're not separate from the dance, you're a movement within it. This isn't just poetry or philosophy. It's the most accurate description of what's actually happening. Modern physics confirms what Watts intuited. There are no separate things, only patterns in relationship, only dances within dances, only one seamless flowing whole appearing as many. The fear of joy. One of Watts's most penetrating insights was about our fear of joy, our resistance to the dance. We say we want happiness, but when it comes, we're suspicious. We think, this is too good to last. We wait for the other shoe to drop. We actually resist feeling too good, as if joy were dangerous. And in a way, we're right. Joy is dangerous to the ego, to the sense of separate self, because real joy dissolves boundaries. When you're truly joyful, you forget yourself. You become the joy. The dancer disappears into the dance, and that's terrifying to the part of you that's trying to maintain control, trying to stay separate, trying to manage the dance. So we sabotage our own joy. We create problems where none existed. We worry our way out of happiness. We think our way out of the dance. We're more comfortable with familiar suffering than with unfamiliar joy. At least when we're suffering, we know who we are. We're the sufferer. But when we're joyful, who are we? We're nobody special, just the dance dancing. Watts understood that this fear of joy, this resistance to the dance, is what keeps us stuck in suffering. We're not suffering because life is difficult. Life has always been difficult. We're suffering because we're resisting the very thing we came here to do: dance.